Hello everybody, I hope you're doing well today. October has come and gone, and I'm a little bit sad about it because October is one of my favorite months of the year. There are just so many fun activities in October. You get to do pumpkin carving and costumes and decorations and of course Halloween itself, and the weather is cooling down, so it's just an amazing month. As you can see, I did get through a ton of wax and candles this month. I think that was due to the fact that there were 31 days in October, but also I didn't travel the entirety of October, so I was home every single day. So I'm quite happy with how much I was able to get through and use and enjoy. My house smelled absolutely amazing this month. Because I do have so much here, this is going to be a longer video, so grab a snack, grab something to drink, cuddle up, watch part of the video, come back later. Even if I keep every description to like 30 seconds to a minute, this is still going to be a long video. So I'm going to do my best to keep my descriptions as concise as possible, while also giving you enough information so you know if you may want to buy this scent in the future. As with all of my empties, I will start with the random bits first and then go into the wax melts and the candles. I will leave the timestamps below, so if you're only interested in just the candles, you can click the timestamp or fast forward ahead to just the candles. If you're just interested in the wax melts, you can click the timestamp for that as well. So if you're interested in seeing what I melted, used, and burned in the month of October, let's get started. I finished 3 hand soaps this month. The first one I finished was Spiced Apple Bourbon. This scent is a dupe of last year's Berry Pumpkin Strudel candle, which I actually burned the candle this month. I absolutely love this scent. Really enjoyed this soap. And then I finished Pumpkin Cranberry Cider. This is last year's packaging. I was lucky enough to find this at semi-annual sale last year. Really love this scent. Very creamy pumpkin, but you get that little bit of a tart cranberry cider. It's just such a unique scent, and it really lingers on your hands, so really enjoyed this one. And then I just finished on Halloween night this Crisp Morning Air. I haven't cleaned it out yet. There's a little bit of soap there that I'll finish up. This is a very fresh scent. Pine, juniper, a hint of pear, but it's not masculine. I really do wish that the candle would actually match this scent more authentically. I feel like the candle comes across very masculine, whereas this does not. I really enjoy this scent. I finished 2 hand creams this month. I finished one in this year's packaging, the Sparkling Cranberry Cider. I used it with the Pumpkin Cranberry Cider, and it was just a really nice match. These little creams just go so fast. Unfortunately, I really do still miss the 2-ounce size. And then I also finished a 2-ounce of Crisp Morning Air from last year. Again, really love this scent. Really nice and fresh. Just perfect for fall. And I have 2 body care items I'll show you. I finished a body cream in Orchid Leaves and Blue Sky. This was a scent from last year that I absolutely loved. Just a very perfectly fresh fall scent. There's a little bit of apple. There's like leaves type scents in here, and just sort of blue skies. Exactly as it says. It really just is a perfect fall fresh scent in my opinion. I wish they had brought this back this year, but alas they did not. And then the last sort of random body care was the Orchid Leaves and Blue Sky in the Shea and Sugar Body Scrub. I had picked this up at semi-annual sale last year, and I really enjoyed this. I really like their sugar scrubs. They're nice and thick, but they also feel like they're very moisturizing, and again, just really enjoyed this scent. Hopefully they'll bring this scent back next year. I did put in a few wallflowers. I put in pumpkin apple. I put in a leaves. I put in a Honeycrisp apple. This was from last year. I put in a Cider Lane, and I put in a Sun-Drenched Vineyard. Again, this one's from last year. Alright, so we'll go ahead and move on into the wax melts. I'm going to rearrange and be right back. Alright, as you can see, I have a ton of wax melts here, so I'm going to try to be concise like I've already mentioned and just go through them with my handy dandy notebook. The first thing I finished this month was a Scentsy clamshell and pumpkin roll. This is a really creamy pumpkin spicy cake, exactly what you would expect when you think of a pumpkin roll. I really like this scent. Strength and throw was about a 4.5, 5. I've had this since last year, so I don't know if that affected it. I used 2 cubes and a Scentsy warmer, really enjoyed. I would repurchase this scent. I finished a Yankee Candle Easy Melt Cup in Forbidden Apple. It's a sweet apple, and you do get some depth from the oak and the bergamot. If you like apple scents in general, Mac apple, Red Delicious, or tart apples, I think that you would like this. I don't think this is incredibly different from some of the other apple scents that you encounter, but you do get a little depth from that oak, so it is pretty nice. I did enjoy it. The strength and throw was about a 5.5 on this one, so that's pretty good. I finished another Scentsy clamshell in Cozy Chai. This is warm vanilla, cinnamon, and caramel with chai spices. I did really enjoy this scent. The strength and throw was about a 5.5. I found better chai scents out there, so I probably would not repurchase this one. And then I also finished Scentsy Cider Meal. This is apple cider with a creamy spiced pumpkin. I really love this scent. This is a favorite of mine that I like to melt every fall. The strength and throw on this one was about a 6.5. This is a definite repurchase for me. Really love this scent. I finished some tester melts in Destination Wax's So White. She sent me a box of testers, and This is one that I finished this month. Essentially, both of them are very close dupes. To me, the white was actually more of a dupe to the actual Lush scent. That's crisp green apple, the green sweet neroli, and that hint of floral, and there's also a hint of like a honey type sweetness. I love that scent in Lush's Bath Bomb, and I'm so sad they did not bring it back this year. I think that she decided to do sort of a blend of both of these to create her version, so I think this was added to the scent list, so I'm excited to order it. I finished a Bath & Body Works Wax Melt in Warm Apple Pie. This is the most authentic apple pie scent. I absolutely love it. I wanted to melt this along with the candle to see if I could get just more of a burst of scent. The performance of this is very typical of what I've experienced with Bath & Body Works melts. You get this sort of this burst of fragrance, but it dies very quickly within like 1 or 2 hours. I did use a 20-watt hot plate warmer, and I've had the same results even using a bulb warmer. So, I mean, I might repurchase these in the future, but this is just not something. The wax melts of Bath & Body Works are not things that I gravitate toward. I finished a Yankee Candles Easy Melt Cup in Caramel Apple Cake. I really enjoyed this scent. It smells exactly like you would think. You get this fresh apple cake with this layer of caramel on top, exactly like the picture. It smelled really good. The strength in the throw was about a 5.5, and I did feel it lasted over 24 hours, so that was great. I would get this in again. I finished another Yankee Candles Easy Melt Cup in Honey Crisp Apple Cider. I've talked about this scent before. Just a very crisp apple scent. It reminds me of Bath & Body Works Honey Crisp Apple from last year. Strength and throw on this one was about a 5. I do enjoy it, and I probably would repurchase. I finished a clamshell in Scentsationals Pumpkin Apple Muffins. I had this from last year. This came across to me as spiced muffins with a hint of apple. I used 1 cube in my 25-watt bulb warmer, and the strength and throw was about a 5.5. I did enjoy this scent. I might repurchase it in the future, but not anytime soon. I finished a pumpkin in the Bathing Gardens Banshee Dreams. This is pumpkin coconut cupcake with a side of coffee. I didn't think I would like it, but I actually really enjoyed it. The strength in the throw was a 7 in my 20-watt hot plate warmer. This one was really nice, and I would purchase it maybe next year if she brought it back out for Halloween or fall. I finished this clam of Better Homes and Gardens Sweet Candied Apples. This one was just okay for me. It was a very artificial sweet candy apple note. The apple was kind of in the background, and you got this sort of sickly sweet candied note first. The strength and throw was about a 4.5. Not a repurchase for me. I finished a Goose Creek Melt in Caramel Applewood. I absolutely love this one. Just imagine Bath & Body Works Cider Lane plus a little bit of extra spice and a little bit of extra depth. But it is essentially a dupe of Bath & Body Works Cider Lane. There is subtle differences. I really like to melt this one when I was burning Cider Lane or just on its own. It is really amazing. I love it. Strength and throw was 7. Definitely a repurchase for me. I finished a Scent Shot in Destination Wax Pumpkin Apple Preserves. This is spiced apples and pumpkins and like a vanilla syrup. It was really yummy. The strength and throw was about a 5. I used about half of the Scent Shot in a 24 hot plate warmer. I would repurchase this scent. I finished a Scent Shot in Dessas Pumpkin Cider Lane. This is essentially Bath & Body Works Cider Lane with pumpkin spice added. A really nice blend. The strength and throw was about a 5 for half of the Scent Shot. I finished Goose Creek Kentucky Harvest. I love this label. I think it's so pretty. This one was spiced apple. You got depth from like a woods note, so it had a very outdoorsy vibe, and then it had a hint of sweet. It's not my favorite blend. My son really liked it though. The strength and throw was about a 5.5. I don't think this would be a repurchase for me. I finished Goose Creek's Pumpkin Spice Muffin. This is a warm, spicy pumpkin muffin. It is a lovely fall bakery scent. Really, really like this. Strength and throw was about a 5.5 for 2 of the triangles. Again, this is one that I also would repurchase. I finished a wax melt in Kringle's Pumpkin Latte. This is a creamy, kind of milky pumpkin spice scent. I like the scent. Sadly, I did not get much from it. It was like a 2.5, 3 strength and throw for half of the wax melt, so I would not repurchase it in this form. I finished a Yankee Candle Easy Melt Cup in Pumpkin Buttercream. This one is sweet, creamy, buttery pumpkin icing. It is so yummy and delicious. Strength and throw was about a 4.5. I did enjoy it. I probably would repurchase this, especially if I could get it on sale. I finished a Shape in Vintage Chic Scents, the Black Cat. This is Cider Lane type with whipped cream, so it's essentially a creamy Cider Lane scent. The strength in the throw was about a 4. It was a good blender, but there are other vendors, Cider Lanes, that I prefer more than this, so I wouldn't repurchase this one. I finished a Shape in Candles from the Keeping Rooms Apple and Spice. This is a warm, spicy apple. It gave me kind of potpourri vibes. Sort of reminded me of potpourri that my mother or grandmother kind of would have out in bowls when I was growing up. It was a nice scent. The strength and throw was about a 4, so I don't know that I'd repurchase this one. I finished a scent shot in Destination Wax Apple Harvest. This is an apple spice scent. A little more spice than apple, but very well blended. The strength and throw was about a 6.5 on this one. I did enjoy it. I finished this Goose Creek White Icing Cinnamon Roll. This one was so yummy. This is one of their new scents this year, I do believe. This was a bakery, sweet, sugary cinnamon. You got the sweet icing, you got the dough. It essentially smelled like this picture. A little heavier on like the bakery cinnamon, so if you're not a huge fan of bakery cinnamon or just cinnamon in general, you may not like this one, but I do feel like the icing and the dough did kind of balance that out, especially when it was melted. The strength and throw was a 6. I really enjoyed this one and I would definitely repurchase. I finished Goose Creek's Cherry Cobbler. This is a sweet, juicy cherry with a crumble topping. I did like it. It was really nice paired with Bath & Body Works Sweet Cherry Pie Candle, which I'll show you later. The strength and throw was about a 6.5. I feel like cherry is hard to do in fragrance. I feel like it can go really well or it can go really wrong. And I feel like this one was done well, but you definitely have to like sweet, juicy cherry to enjoy this scent. I finished a Destination Wax Pumpkin Trifle, a really yummy bakery pumpkin scent. It reminds me of those, trifle desserts that you can get with the pumpkin, and then you have like that kind of that cream. It's really yummy. I don't think she offers this scent anymore though. The strength and throw on this was a 6.5. I finished a pumpkin in the Bathing Gardens Tombstone Dust. This was very similar to Super Tarts Snow in my opinion. You got Mac apple, some spearmint, some creaminess. Unfortunately, this one only had a strength and throw about a 2, so this was definitely not be a repurchase for me. I finished at Goose Creek's French Autumn. I know you're getting a reflection, but that really is a gorgeous picture. I love this scent. There's fig, plum, a little bit of floral, sandalwood. It's just a really nice, conceptual, bordering on kind of feminine fall blend. If you don't like fig or plum scents, I don't think you'll like this one, but if you do, definitely check this one out. The strength and throw was a 6.5, 7. This is definitely a repurchase for me. I finished a clam in Super Tarts Alien. This is apple cider and vanilla bean donuts. Really yummy scent. Essentially, you get just that. This somewhat bakery apple cider donuts, and you get this creaminess with it as well. The strength and throw is about a 5.5, and I would repurchase this scent. I finished a Sassy Girl Aroma's Chunk in Spicy Apple and Peach Celtic Moon Spice. This was part of a sampler I had received. It's a spicy apple scent with just a hint of peach. This was okay. The strength and throw was about a 5. It lasted around 4 hours. I would not repurchase this one. I finished a 6-pack in Southbound Soap's Candied Apples. To me, this really smelled like maple caramel apple. You definitely got the apple and you got this caramel, buttery caramel, but then you got this very distinct maple sugar. And I was a little worried about the maple because sometimes maple can go very wrong for me. It can be overly sweet and cloying, but the maple here was just perfect. It was a really, really nice blend, and I really enjoyed this one. I kept going back to this one and wanting to melt it. The strength and throw of one shape was 6.5, and I would definitely repurchase this scent. I finished Zeep's Pumpkin Souffle. This was like 2 pumpkin type shapes. This essentially reminded me of Bath & Body Works Pumpkin Cupcake, but it had additional kind of buttery notes. The strength in the throw was about a 5.5. I wouldn't repurchase this one just because I'll just burn Bath & Body Works Pumpkin Cupcake, but I did really enjoy it. I finished a 6-pack in Southbound Soap's Pumpkin Spice Cider. This was apple cider, pumpkin, and fall spices. I really enjoyed this scent. It was a creamy, spicy apple cider. So you got that kind of creamy pumpkin, but you got that really nice spiced apple cider, and it was just really lovely. The strength in the throw was about a 6.5. I would repurchase this. I finished 3 little shapes in Vintage Chic Scents Sugar Cookie Dough Grape Pumpkin. It is a spicy pumpkin with sweet cookie dough, essentially. Unfortunately, the strength and throw was only about a 3. Maybe I didn't let this cure enough. I know I've heard people say that Vintage Chic Scents, you need like 6 months of cure time. For me personally, I would not repurchase this scent. I finished a scent shot in Destination Wax's Mac Apple. I really love her Mac Apple. It's crisp, sweet apple, just a great blender. You can melt it on its own, but I love to put it with other things. I like to put a sliver of this with the Monster Munch, which you'll see in a minute. I like to put it with just a bunch of different scents. The Strength and Throw was a 7. It's one of my fave Mac apples, and I absolutely would repurchase it. I finished a clam and Super Tarts Snape. This is magically delicious warm sugar cookies dusted with sweet cinnamon sugar. It is a very sweet cinnamon bakery cookie. Kind of reminds me of Snickerdoodles. Strength and Throw is an 8.5. It is a strong one. 1 cube in my 20-watt hot plate warmer. I also can put 1 cube in a bulb warmer, and it performs just the same. I definitely would repurchase this. I finished a clam and Super Tarts Banner. This is warm buttery cornbread topped with creamy Mac apple, ice cream, and brown sugar. And essentially that's what I get. You definitely get the Mac apple and this sweet brown sugar cornbread. It sounds a little odd, but it's actually a really good combination. Strength and Throw was about an 8. So just another very good performer from Super Tarts. I like this one and I probably would repurchase it. I finished Kringle's Apple Cider Donut. I love this scent. It is such an authentic, amazing apple cider donut scent. It smells exactly like the picture. Unfortunately, the Strength and Throw of this was about a 2, so that was pretty sad. I do have this in a candle, so I'm hoping I'll get better performance there. I finished a 6-pack pumpkins of Dessas Pumpkin Paradise. This is a non-spicy sweet pumpkin, so I think that in itself is just unique because mostly you always get spicy pumpkin. This is very creamy. You get hints of the pie crust. I really did enjoy it. If you've been looking for a non-spicy pumpkin, definitely give this one a try. The Strength and Throw is about a 4.5 for 1 pumpkin. I finished 2 pumpkins in the Bathing Gardens Poison Apothecary. This is a woodsy fireside apple cider scent, and I absolutely loved it. I'm not normally a huge fan of fireside type of scents, but this was perfect for the end of October, closer to Halloween. The Strength and Throw is about a 6 in my 20-watt hot plate warmer. I would definitely repurchase this next year. Love this one. The Destination Wax Autumn Walk. This is earthy, pine, cedar, woodsy type blend. It was really nice. It has a nice freshness, and it really does remind you of an autumn walk. I did enjoy the scent. The Strength and Throw was about a 5. I probably would repurchase in the future. I finished a jack-o'-lantern shape in the Candles from the Keeping Room's Pumpkin Lager. It's a malty ale spice pumpkin scent. You get nutmeg and vanilla, a really yummy scent. The Strength and Throw was about a 5 in my 24-watt hot plate warmer. Almost there, guys. Almost there. I finished a chunk bag in Sassy Girl Aroma's Fall Bakery. This is cookies, zucchini, pumpkin, and apple pie. I'd really heard some positive feedback about this one. I thought, wow, this might be too much bakery, but I actually absolutely loved it. It is a lot of bakery, so if you're not a bakery lover, then definitely stay away from this one. But you get kind of every note. You get the cookies, you get the apple pie, you get the pumpkin, you get the zucchini, but it all blends really well together. And every time I would walk into my room, I was like, oh my gosh, it smells so good. The Strength and Throw is at a 7.5, 8 for about a half of a chunk, a little less than half of a chunk. It lasted about 5 to 6 hours, which is pretty typical for Sassy Girl Aroma for me in my 24-watt hot plate warmer. I would definitely repurchase this one next year. Highly recommend this one. It's really good. I finished a chunk in Zeep's Hocus Pocus. This is charred pine, dried leaves, and toasted marshmallows. Again, not normally a huge fan of kind of charred type scents, but this was perfect for Halloween Eve, cold fall night. It was just exactly what I was wanting for Halloween Eve and Halloween itself. Strength and Throw was about a 6 in my 20-watt hot plate warmer. I would definitely repurchase this one next year. It was really, really good. And I finished a chunk in Zeep's Monster Munch. This was a yummy, buttery caramel popcorn. I absolutely love this scent. I love popcorn in general. This one was just really buttery and caramelly and just perfection. I used it, would melt it by itself. I used it to blend. I love it. I think this one didn't sell out right away, but I would have bought 2 chunks had I known how much I would love it. The Strength and Throw was about an 8.5, so it was really strong. Definitely would repurchase this next year. I finished a pumpkin in the Bathing Gardens Fairy Bonfire, another one that I surprisingly loved. Just bonfire goodness. You get a touch of sweetness, vanilla and sandalwood. Just a really awesome blend. Strength and Throw was about a 6. I would definitely repurchase this one next year. It was perfect for the end of October. And lastly, I finished a samples shot in Vintage Chic Scents The Warrens. This one is gooey marshmallow, glazed cinnamon donuts, and Cider Lane. It's a really nice blend, and I used it as a blender with other things. Unfortunately, on its own, it did not have the greatest Strength and Throw. It was like a 3. The scent's great. I just wish it was stronger. All right, that's it. That is all of the wax melts for this month. Standout favorites, I would say Sassy Girl Aroma's Fall Bakery, Zeep's Monster Munch. Love it if you love popcorn scents. Hocus Pocus, perfect for the end of Halloween. The Bathing Gardens Poison Apothecary and Fairy Bonfire. Really enjoyed these. Southbound Soap's Candy Apples, it really surprised me how much I like that maple scent. Destination Wax Pumpkin Apple Preserves. Goose Creek's White Icing Cinnamon Roll. Alright, if you're just here for the wax, thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments below what you've been melting this month. If you're going to hang out for the candles, I'm going to do a little bit of rearranging and we'll get started on those. Alrighty, I actually got through, I think, 20 candles this month, so I'm actually quite happy with that. I finished a box of Yankee Candle Tea Lights and Forbidden Apple. I've already talked about this scent. It's a very crisp apple scent with sort of a depth from the bergamot and the woods notes. I like this scent, and I really do like Yankee Candles Tea Lights, and this time of year I use a lot of tea lights. And I also finished a box of Yankee Candles Autumn Leaves tea lights. These I really couldn't smell as much as I do other scents, so I probably wouldn't repurchase this particular scent. I also forgot to show you earlier that I did finish a 2-pack in Lavender and Vanilla Wallflowers. The first candle I burned this month was Bath & Body Works Berry Pumpkin Strudel. This one is Sweet Blueberry, Baked Apple, Blackberry, Pumpkin Spice, and Puff Pastry. This was from last year's fall collection. I absolutely love this scent. I think it's a berry spiced cobbler or, strudel. Really, really yummy. I really wish they had brought the scent back this year, but alas, they did not. Glad I had a couple left over from last year. The strength and throw was about a 6.5, 7. The burn was okay. You can see the residue on the sides here. The wicks actually wanted to struggle the first 2 burns, which was very interesting. I felt like at first I was like, oh goodness, this is not a good sign. But then I didn't trim the wicks after the first burn or the second burn. I just left them alone, and then it did correct itself, and the burn was good for the rest of the candle. Really no sooting. Overall, a really great scent. I love this candle, and I would absolutely repurchase it next year if they do decide to bring it back out. I finished this 8.5 ounce size of Kringle's Pumpkin Latte. I love the design of their candles. I love these glass jars, and their labels are absolutely gorgeous. This matte finish with the beautiful photos. This is a creamy, milky, spiced pumpkin latte. You definitely pick up the ginger and the nutmeg. Sadly, the strength and throw was only about a 2.5, maybe a 3 if I'm being generous. I actually ended up putting this in my master bath, and I just couldn't get much from it. The burn was okay, but it didn't want to even pull out. It does look pretty good here, but I actually had to take a butter knife and kind of push down the sides of the candle and kind of fold it over into the melting wax for it to actually pull out all the way. If I had not done that, it definitely would have tunneled. Because of the fact that I couldn't really smell it and that it had so many issues with burning, I would not repurchase this, and I cannot recommend this particular candle. I finished a small tumbler in Yankee Candles Sugar and Spice. Love these full labels. Look at that. Is that not just beautiful? Really miss those labels. This is a sweet cinnamon bakery scent. Sadly, the strength and throw was only about a 3. I don't normally expect much for such a small candle, and this is something that I had in my master bathroom. This was an okay burn. It definitely was somewhat sooty for such a small candle. You can see there the black, and then you can see the residue on the side. It did not tunnel, and I didn't really have to help it along at all, so that was good. I would not repurchase this scent in this form. I might pick up the scent in a different form. I finished this mini Bath & Body Works candle in Perfect Pumpkin. This is Sweet Cinnamon Pumpkin. It's a mini candle, so you don't expect much from it. It was about a 1.5 strength and throw. I finished this Bath & Body Works 4-ounce tester in Heirloom Pumpkin. This is the Perfect Autumn Pumpkin, fresh pumpkin, creamy nutmeg, and rich brown sugar. I absolutely love this scent. It's one that you used to be able to count on them bringing back every year in some form or another, but they did not bring it back this year. This is nutmeg, heavy, brown sugared pumpkin perfection. Absolutely love it. The strength and throw on this little one was about 4. I don't have the best luck with the 4 ounces, but this one I was happy with. It did want to tunnel. You can see the residue here. I did help it along a couple of times. If you find these on sale at semi-annual sale for $3, I think that they're worth it, especially if you can find it in a scent that maybe they haven't brought out in a 3-wick candle. But otherwise, I don't personally clamor to pick up these 4-ounce candles. I just don't have consistent luck with them. I finished a 3-wick in Bath & Body Works Harvest Pear. This was a new scent out this year. This one is Sweet Roasted Pear, Cinnamon Sugar Crumble, Freshly Whipped Buttercream. It came across to me as this sweet, creamy buttercream type icing and this sweet quote-unquote pear. I didn't like this scent. The execution was off for me personally. I didn't enjoy it. I wanted to have more pear. I wanted it to be a more authentic pear. I didn't want like icing. It just didn't seem to kind of match. It wasn't cohesive. So in my opinion, this is not a winner at all. The strength and throw was a 5, so it wasn't even as strong as you kind of expect for Bath & Body Works candles, but still a medium throw. The burn was okay. You can see the residue on the side. It did struggle at the halfway mark. I did stop trimming the wicks. You can actually see kind of where it started to struggle. I never had to cotton ball it, but it was just a really slow burn, especially the last fourth of the candle. This is definitely not a repurchase for me personally. I finished a large jar in Kringle's Apple Chutney. I love their apothecary style glass jars. I love their labels. Look how beautiful that is. Imagine sauteed pears and apples sprinkled with cardamom and ginger, mixed with a couple of raisins, drizzled ever so lightly with caramel. Add a sprinkle of salt, a splash of vanilla, and a tiny squeeze of lemon, and you have this scent, in my opinion. It is very complex, gourmand apple scent. The strength and throw varied throughout the life of this candle. The first part of the candle was a good 6.5, 7. The middle of the candle was like a 5, and towards the end, the strength was about a 3.5. So definitely varied, and that, just not what you want. You want a pretty consistent strength and throw. There was some sooting, which you do anticipate with these large jars. Not as bad as I've seen on some candles. It did burn itself out. The main problem that I had was that the middle of the candle, the wax turned absolutely brown, yellow, yucky, and disgusting. And it actually changed the fragrance of the candle, and you really just couldn't smell it. It just kind of smelled burnt and gross. So I ended up pouring out the wax, and it was pretty much like from here to here. So a big portion of wax that I ended up pouring out, and then I trimmed the wicks down, and then I was able to kind of burn the candle the rest of the way. And it did fairly well until the very end, and you can see that the little bit of wax that's left is pretty discolored. This is very consistent with other Kringle candles that I've burned. Typically I'll have, nice burn, and then it will go gross and yucky here, and then I'll pour the wax out, and I'll get a good burn here. I don't know why it does that. I've ensured to try to only burn 3 to 4 hours at most, and then blow out the candle. I don't let it go too long. Once I finish what large jars I have, I probably won't be purchasing any more Kringle large jars, just because I don't want to waste a significant portion of wax. So I probably will stick to getting like a medium sized candle and hope that I have better luck with those. Overall, I really like the scent. I would purchase the scent again, but I wouldn't purchase the large jar. I finished Bath & Body Works Pumpkin Cupcake. I think most people know what pumpkin cupcake smells like at this point. It's a pumpkin spice cupcake, light on the spice, heavier on the bakery, just a really yummy, delicious scent. The strength and throw was a solid 5 throughout the life of the candle. The burn was pretty good about the first 2/3 of the candle. The last third, it started smelling burnt, and the wax discolored, you can see there. And actually I didn't even finish burning it because I just couldn't get anything but a burnt smell. The fragrance had completely gone, and I was just getting nasty burnt smells. I would purchase this scent again though, because I really do love it. The next candle I finished was Hello Fall, which is actually leaves. If you've been watching my videos, you know that I absolutely love this scent. Crisp red apple, golden nectar, warm clove spice. To me, leaves is just one of the quintessential fall scents that I have to burn every year, a couple of times a year. I just absolutely love it. The strength and throw was a 6. This one had a great burn. It was that sort of perfect burn where it's not too fast, it's not slow. It was that perfect kind of medium burn, which I absolutely love. I'm not a huge fan of the quotables packaging in general, but I did think this was cute. I definitely would repurchase leaves. If you are able to still find this packaging, this was a good burn, so I would probably pick up another one of these if it was at semi-annual sale or candle day. The next one I finished was Cider Lane. I just want to take a minute to reminisce about the packaging from last year. I knew last year's packaging was phenomenal across the board last fall, but especially compared to this year's packaging, I'm just like, wow. They did everything right last year. I mean, look at this gorgeous picture. It just really takes you to fall, and I absolutely love it. Cider Lane is warm caramel, Granny Smith apple, dark brown sugar, and ground clove. It is essentially the best, in my opinion, caramel apple scent, but it's actually more than just a caramel apple scent, because I get this outdoorsy vibe. I imagine caramel apples lined up at a state fair. So there is this little bit of depth to the caramel apple scent, and I absolutely love it. The strength and throw was an 8. It had a great burn the first 2/3 of the candle. The last third tried to get puny wicks, but as I've mentioned multiple times about several different candles, when I start noticing the early warning signs of puny wick syndrome, I stop trimming the wicks, and normally I'm able to kind of self-correct the problem. The last 1/8 of this candle, though, it did start smelling a little yucky and gross, but other than that, it was a phenomenal burn. Would absolutely repurchase this scent. My son actually finished this Bath & Body Works sweater Weather. This is the 2015 version. I actually was lucky to find it semi-annual sale and paid like just a couple of dollars for it. Sweater Weather is an aromatic, amazing, fresh scent. I absolutely love it in fall or winter. I used to kind of really burn it more in the winter, but I'm finding that I'm really enjoying it more and more in the fall as well. I have done an individual candle review on Sweater Weather packaging from last year, so if you're interested in that, you can check that out on my channel. Strength and Throw, 9.5. This is always a really strong candle and one that is just an amazing performer. The burn was great. It does look somewhat sooty, but I think that's because my son let it burn a little bit too long, but definitely a repurchase. I will always pick up this scent every year in whatever packagings they come out with. Love this one. I then finished a sweet cherry pie. I'm not sure why, but I was struck with this urge to burn a cherry scent, and I had a couple of these from the spring, so I thought let me go ahead and just burn one. I was in the mood for it, so I did. This is bright red cherries, flaky pie crust, and crushed almonds. A lot of people, I think, just chalk this up to be a repackage of black cherry merlot, and while they are definitely very similar, there's a huge difference in my opinion. First, black cherry merlot has a very distinct muscadine grape note that I pick up that I just test. And this sweet cherry pie scent has a pie crust note. So it definitely does come through. It's definitely not a dominant note, but it does come through. So you really do get this sweet, juicy cherry with a pie crust. I have done an individual candle review on sweet cherry pie, so check that out if you're interested. The Strength and Throw was a 9.5, very strong, excellent burn, just like the first one I burned. Absolutely love this scent. I would hope that they would bring this out again in the future. I finished a medium jar in Yankee Candles Forbidden Apple. I absolutely love this packaging, and look at this lid. How cute is that? I'm definitely finding myself really gravitating toward Yankee Candles 14.5 ounce candles. I just wish they'd have more sales on the medium size. I've mentioned this scent already in this video. So sweet, crisp apple with oak and bergamot adds a little bit of depth. The Strength and Throw was about a 3.5 on this, so obviously I'd much rather have a stronger scent, but I feel like that's pretty typical for Yankee Candle. The burn was fine, very clean. As you can see, there was a couple of times where it didn't really want to pull out, so I kind of helped it along on the edges with a butter knife. But other than that, the burn was great. I might pick up this scent again in the future if I find it on sale. The next one I finished was Country Candles Pumpkin Cider Donut. This is owned by Kringle Candle. And I got this spicy pumpkin cider donut. It really does smell like the name. The donut note does come through pretty strongly, which I liked. It was a really nice balance between the donut and the pumpkin cider. The Strength and Throw was only about a 3.5, 4. The burn was good. It was a little bit sooty, but as you can see, the wicks did start to move toward the bottom of the candle. There's a bit of wax left, but when the wicks started moving, I just feel like it becomes kind of unsafe to burn at that point. I do find these candles to be particularly more sooty than the apothecary jars. I'm not sure why that is, but you can see there is a lot more soot on this jar than on the apothecary jar that I burned. I did keep the wicks trimmed really low to try to prevent the sooting, but alas, it's still sooted. For me, this is not a repurchase. The scent was just okay. I feel like it wasn't, unique or something I could only get from Country Candle, and with the burn issues and the sooting and not really having a great Strength and Throw, I just wouldn't pick this one back up again. I finished a large jar in Yankee Candles Pure Radiance. This is Crackling Ginger Pumpkin. I absolutely love this scent. Of course, they don't make Pure Radiance anymore. You can still find them in Home Goods. The scent is definitely heavy on the ginger, and you get the creamy pumpkin, so it's sort of like a gingered pumpkin. I just absolutely love that amount of ginger. It's so nice. As you can see, this candle had a lot of soot, and I've actually wiped this out a couple of different times, so this is a lot. I mean, it is just black all the way around. The Strength and the Throw was only about a 3.5, so again, just very light. I had this in my master bathroom, and it really didn't even fill that space. I felt like I really couldn't smell it. Even though you really can't repurchase this anymore, I wouldn't. I do still have a medium-sized jar in this scent. I do love the scent, but not happy with the performance or Strength and Throw. I finished a Bath & Body Works Spice Vanilla Marshmallow. This is last year's marble packaging, and this is when the marble packaging was actually very well done. This is a very heavy glass jar, and the marbling is, it is a sticker, but it's just nicely done, and the quality, in my opinion, is better than the marbling that they brought out in subsequent versions. Spice Vanilla Marshmallow is vanilla marshmallow with hints of pumpkin spice. Definitely heavy on that marshmallow. Really nice one. Surprisingly, this one is actually pretty strong. The Strength and Throw was about a 6.5. Really enjoyed it. The burn was great for the first half, and it did get puny wicks the second half though, and which is surprising because normally these thicker glass jars perform really well. I did pour out some of the wax or cotton ball some of the wax toward the very end, and then I got another good one burn out of it. I probably would pick up this scent again if I found it on sale at Candle Day or semi-annual sale. I finished Bath & Body Works Spiced Coconut Milk. I did do an individual candle review of this scent, so I'll leave the link to that video below if you'd like to check it out. I finished a medium-sized jar in Yankee Candles Pumpkin Pie. I think this would look so much better with a full label. This is a really nice pumpkin pie, creamy, spicy blend. You do get a good bit of pie crust. I don't like it as much as I like Bath & Body Works pumpkin pie, but they didn't bring out their pumpkin pie scent this year, so I decided to pick up one from Yankee so I could get the scent. The first half of the candle was about a 3.5 strength and throw, and then the last half was about a 5. So I was happy that at least I got a medium throw after the last half, but I wish that I had gotten a medium throw out of the entirety of the candle. It did have a good burn, but there is a fair amount of soot in here, especially for a medium jar. Look at all the oil that is left in this candle. Like, it is so strong. I'm probably going to just pop this on my candle warmer and try to get some use out of this because that's just too much oil to waste. Overall, I really like this scent, and if Bath & Body Works doesn't bring out pumpkin pie next year, I could definitely see myself grabbing this version again. The last 3 wick I finished is Bath & Body Works Hello Sugar, which is warm apple pie. To me, this is the most authentic apple pie, best apple pie scent that I have come across. I absolutely love it. You get the baked Granny Smith tart apples first and foremost. You get this brown sugar. You get a homemade pie crust. It's absolutely wonderful. The strength and throw of this was about a 5.5, which I'm really happy with because I had read that last year's warm apple pie, which I never burned mine, was very weak and it wasn't very strong. And the first 2 burns of this one, I was concerned because I wasn't getting much. But after the first 2 burns, the rest of the candle was a solid medium throw, 5.5, which is a lot stronger than most Yankee candles. So I think people who are used to Bath & Body Works candles being 7.5, like medium high to high throws, this one probably does seem light to them. But then if you compare this candle to Yankee Candles or some other candle companies, this is still a good performing candle. And I absolutely loved it. It filled my office. It went into the hallway. It was great. I had no problems with the strength and throw. Would I have liked it to be stronger so I could burn it in my kitchen and living room combined area? Yeah, sure. But I would still buy this scent again. The burn was great. There was no issues. It does look like there's a bit of residue here, but really there was no puny wicks. I didn't have any problems at all with this. Didn't have to cotton ball or anything like that. I would absolutely repurchase this scent in this year's version, even though I'm not a huge fan of the packaging. And of course, I would definitely purchase this scent in years to come. And then the last candle I finished this month, if y'all have hung around this long, is a medium-sized French lavender candle. I've mentioned many times before that I always keep lavender candles on stock that I burn while I'm taking a bath and at nighttime, just to have that cozy ambiance. This version of French lavender, you really get that authentic herbal lavender, which I absolutely love. The burn on this one was good. You know, these are never that strong in my opinion, but it was perfect for a bathroom, and of course I have other things kind of burning at the same time, and you can see that it did burn itself all the way out. It didn't tunnel or anything like that. I don't normally get this size candle, but if I find it on a really good special, I would pick it up, and of course I would pick up this scent again in the future. Alright, that is it. If you have hung out for this long video, thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments below what you've burned, melted, and used this month. What were your favorite October scents? Are there anything here that you really love this month that I haven't burned? Please let me know. I always love to hear from you. I hope you've all had a wonderful October, a wonderful Halloween. If you like this video or found it helpful, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see other videos like this, please subscribe. I do have a couple other fall hauls coming, and then I'm definitely going to shift into full winter and Christmas mode. Again, thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Bye.